Welcome to Mamas and Mimosas. I'm Marianne.
I'm Roni.
I'm Janelle.
And today we're talking all about managing our kids' screen time. How do you manage your kids' screen time? We each do it differently depending on our personal values. Today we're sharing how we do it in our homes, what devices we allow them to use, how we protect them from cyberbullies, and whether we allow our kids on social media. So let's pop in those headphones and dive right in. Oh my God, it's gonna get deep, guys.
A shit show, a pure shit show. It literally takes a village.
I don't know if it was dirty or clean.
Oh my God.
Bad mom. Like
yeah.
the movie. Yes, because I'm shining. Woo! That was good, guys.
But before we start, we want to thank you for subscribing to our podcast and YouTube. And thank you for telling all the other mommies about us. We love you.
All right, ladies. At what age do you let your kids use technology, like phones or tablets or video games?
I'll start. So it varies. With my older son, I feel like tablets were just kind of coming out. I feel like they weren't as big as they are now. So he really didn't start until he was about, I want to say like 5-ish, like playing little like educational games, and then gradually it changed. And then for the other two, I think they kind of started like around 4. Peyton started around like 4 or 5. Harley starting the earliest. She just started at 3. She finally got introduced to it. So, but it varies what I let them play on it. Like it's all educational games for Harley. She can't, or if she does YouTube, it's limited to the videos she can watch. And yeah, so I think it just varies with kids for me. So what about you, Janelle?
Okay, so I'm right there with you too. My oldest son is 11. So during that time, I remember like being against the whole phone situation, but my sister-in-law had an iPad. And so whenever he would go over there and hang out, which was pretty often, she had like all these fun games for him, and he just like totally got hooked on it. And he loved it. And then after that, I noticed that there was like educational games, so I would ask her to download those on my phone. And so we let him play our phone a lot more than the other kids. But when I realized that it was becoming a problem was when we were out in public, and maybe I would give him the phone like at a restaurant or whatever. And if my phone was dying and I didn't want him to use up the rest of the battery, like he would flip out, you know? And so that's when I was like, wait a minute, this is like
Not normal.
this is the problem. So then we had to like wean him off. And then so for the other 2 kids, my younger ones, we were like, okay, we made rules like no phones. I will get back, like I'm sure we're going to get deeper into that later on, but we really don't let them play on the phones. The younger 2, they know who they can get away with it though. Like when my mom comes over because she's visiting and I'm like distracted, they'll be like, yeah, let me use your phone. And then and I'm like, oh my God, but I'm visiting, so I'm like, just get out of here, but other than that, no, I don't really let the little ones use them, but they do use like the TV, obviously. And the boys use video games. Yeah. So what about you, Marianne?
I feel like both boys are around the same age. Like Landon, I know I hate to say it, like after he turned 1, and Levi's already, and it's just more like the TV, not even. Oh, well, actually, now Levi is starting to like grab for the phone, but he always says duh, like, and it's duh. He's trying to say ducks. And I always play like the 5 Little Ducks song on there. And it all started because, so Levi's the type that like alligator rolls when you change his diaper and like throws fits. And my husband gave him his phone just to change his diaper. And then ever since then, it got like, he got hooked on it. But I feel like with Landon, it was more just the TV at that age. And it was because I was so tired in the morning, so I'd turn it on for him. And I'd sleep an extra 10 minutes.
And you got to do what you got to do. I mean, my son, my first one, he was hooked. Like the second he knew that the Elmo song came on the phone, that was it. Like every time I would pull my phone out, he would be like, Elmo song, Elmo song. But because he was so clingy to it, I didn't want the other ones to be the same, because I'm like, dude, I need my phone, and I need to use it, and I don't want them crying and pulling on it every time somebody calls me or texts me or whatever. So that's why I didn't really start it that young with the other ones, because I didn't want them to like be as attached as my first one, because he was attached, and it was hard to get him off of it, to wean him off the phone.
Just like a bottle or something, huh?
It is, and it is convenient, but my goodness,
it could
when that phone dies, you're done. The tantrums
man.
turn on.
So do you limit the screen time depending on their ages?
I do. So, but I like it used to vary, because I'm like, someone will say, oh, that's not fair, so and so, but I'm like, you guys are so far in age. So each one of them, it go like Harley through the whole day, she only gets a 45 minutes, but she splits it up. Like it's not in just one sitting. So it may be like, if she has like free play or something, then she gets 15 minutes there or something, like, so she breaks it up. And then Peyton, the middle one, he gets an hour for the day. Like if he wants to split it up 30 minutes. And then Devin gets 2 hours, because he's older. But other than that, we have a little box that it goes in, and like nobody is playing nothing. They get their time, use it how they want to, and then all electronics are, even my oldest son's phone too. It's just usually in that box.
Just for our listeners, say how old they are. Like the one that's 13. Is he 13 or 14?
Teenager.
He'll be 14. So we
14. He gets the 2
hours.
hours.
The oldest one, yeah, because
that's including TV.
Or is
TV,
that just
you
like?
know what? TV is very like rare, especially when school was in. Like it was hardly ever, like sometimes we would like maybe at night after dinner or something try to like watch a show or something, but for the most part it's kind of like usually like the TV is off, they'll like tell Alexa to play some kind of music or something, but rarely TV time has been limited. It's more now with this quarantine thing going on. I feel like we're all watching TV way more than we normally. But for the most part, it's so weird. Like our TV will be off, and my mom will come over and be like, she's like, can you turn the TV on? Like it's too like I need like at least the TV on. And I'm like, why? No, just leave the TV off.
Stimulation,
right? I like when the TV's off though. I don't know.
That's so funny. I've never been good at like tracking how much TV they had. Like I know back in the day the doctors would be like, only have 30 minutes of TV a day for your toddler. And I'm like, I don't know really how long they do. Like it's scattered. And I love you. It's scattered. But as far as like video games, okay, so my 11-year-old and my 7-year-old, I just find it easier for me to give them the same amount. And I know it's probably not fair because my 11-year-old had to earn it and work for it longer, longer time of video games. But I give them like first of all, before this quarantine, no video games during the week, because I felt like it turned them into zombies. Like they were little scatterbrains. Like I noticed that the more video games that they played, the less they were more forgetful. They were like little zombies. It was like, hello, I'm talking to you. Did you just hear me? And they're just, oh yeah. I think they were just, all they were focused on is when they were going to play next, and like who's going to be on right now. And they play online with their friends, So at that age, man, I'm like, okay, so we cut them off completely for like months. And then we like slowly wean them back into it. And so now, or not now, but before this whole quarantine, they were only allowed to play 1 hour on the weekends like Saturday, 1 hour Saturday, 1 hour Sunday. And it had to be like after all the chores were done, after everything was like clean and they were showered and dressed for the day, and then they got their hour. So they didn't really fight me on it because it had already been taken away. So they were like, I'm happy with anything.
Precious.
Yeah, exactly. So that's like on a typical weekday when they're in school, they have no video games. They may earn it on Friday after school, but I'd rather them have like I'm that mom that's always like, tell your friends to come over, play outside, go play football on the street, you know, like I want them to be outside. And because we don't have a lot of people that live on our block, I'm always pushing them like, bring your friends over, invite them over, I'll get pizza or whatever. Like, just be a kid and just go outside. You don't need to be on the video games all the time, you know, especially because on the weekends they're on the video games. So, and then for the baby girl, like I don't give her my phone. When she was a baby, we would put the YouTube on for like the learning super songs and the shapes and all that stuff. And then she got really picky about it where she only wanted specific ones, and then it was causing tantrums and stuff. And I'm like, forget it. We're not watching YouTube.
Not even.
Yeah. You're too young to be
You don't know how to work this.
picky. Yeah.
I'm not putting this in.
But then after that, like we weaned her off of the YouTube, and then there was that YouTube Moco, whatever.
Oh, the scary thing.
Yeah. So then we stopped doing that for a while. And then now, I mean, she watches TV. We're like your mom, Roni. Like we have the TV on all day. Nobody's watching it or they're playing or whatever, but it's just like background noise, and we have it on all the time. Yeah.
That's how we are. That's how we
you guys
are.
have it all.
Yeah, like, well, and then like my husband, that's his like way of relaxing, I guess, or his downtime or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's funny because the thing is, even though we have the living room TV off all the time, my bedroom TV is always on because my husband needs it to go to sleep. And if it goes off on its own, I like if I set the timer and like it goes off and it's like dark, if he wakes up to go pee or anything, he'll turn it all back on and like light up the whole room. Like he cannot.
Weird. That's crazy.
And if we're somewhere like a hotel or anywhere that does not have a TV, he'll like watch it on his phone. Like it's that bad. Yeah.
Now that I think about it, he did that at Stagecoach. Remember when we shared a room with you guys?
Yes, he did.
And he kept it on.
Yes,
that's so funny.
Terrible.
So then do you limit your screen time? So Marianne, you said that you keep the TVs on all day, but like how do you limit your screen time for the kids?
With the kids?
I honestly don't. Well, at least with Lennon, like, because he's the type that gets distracted easily. So he'll watch a show or whatever, and then it'll remind them about a toy that he has. So then he ends up going and running to his room and playing with the toy. And then it's like he's over the TV, or if I say, let's go outside, he's quick to go outside. So it's not like if I feel like he's been sitting longer than like 2 shows, which is usually 30 minutes a show. If he's sitting longer than an hour, then I usually say like, let's go outside or whatever. But he's like, he doesn't do like video games or anything. So if anything, it's like TV for them.
See, that's good though, that like he can still go play with toys and he's not just totally consumed with it, you know, because I feel like the boys would literally sit there all day if they could, just looking up different videos and playing different games and stuff.
Yeah.
I literally have to kick them out to go outside. Okay, so then do you let them use your phone in public or while visiting people?
We try not to. Like, we do every now and then, but lately my husband gets pissed if he's like, we're having dinner out in public. Well, now that the whole quarantine, we're home, but like when we used to go out and eat, he would get so upset and be like, don't give it to him, or because he's like a restless leg type of kid. Like he has to be moving all the time. So once he's done eating and he has to wait, and I'm a slow eater, so if he has to sit there and wait, like he starts acting up. Yeah. And I'm like, just at least he finished all his food, just let him. Or he like, I have to bring so many toys in my bag. Like we go through all the toys before he gets the phone, but No, or if we're like visiting, I think the last time I let him use our phone was like when the whole thing with my mom, like when she passed away, and we'd have to go
Yeah.
do like the prayers at like her
Yeah.
house, and I needed him to stay super quiet. I threw him in the room with a phone.
Yeah.
How does
Hey.
he do at church for you guys? Do they
They
have a
go,
kids
they
class
have
or
like
something?
their own kids classes, so he goes
So
there.
it's not like back in the day where it's all mixed in and you just have to sit there.
No, well, see, and then like my family, like my brother and my mom, they're like Catholic. So when we go up to Fresno and we have to go to a Catholic church, it's like there's no, I just already prepare myself like he's gonna have a meltdown. Like there's no way he's gonna sit there quietly for an hour, and I start
Yeah.
bringing like like a book, or I'll bring. They don't want you to have snacks at like in those churches.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my god. But he usually, my sister-in-law is pretty good about distracting him because she's good with like little kids that age. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That's good.
Oh man.
How about you, Roni?
So no, if we go somewhere like if and my husband too is like if it was up to him, they wouldn't have any like no tablets, no nothing, so we don't pull them out at all. Like it'll be if we do, it has to be like a super emergency. He has a phone call, but not even then, because if he has a phone call, he'll just tell him to be quiet and they'll be quiet. So no, they're not allowed to do it in public.
That's
Not
like
even.
us. And I feel like that's not very common because you go to restaurants and you see everybody on their
Yep.
phone and
The kids.
but like in like us, we're like super strict about it. Like we want
Hmm.
them to learn how to be bored,
And yeah.
because then they can learn like to the way that we see it is like if they learn to be bored, they'll learn how to entertain themselves and
Hmm.
they'll learn how to socialize, with amongst themselves. Because like that's how it was five of us. None of us had a freaking phone,
Nope.
growing up. And we
Exactly.
would go to restaurants and there was no way in hell my dad was gonna put up with us throwing tantrums for no reason because our parents ate first or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but that's it's the same thing. So I just feel like if they could do it, I could do it.
Exactly.
And so no, we don't allow them to take devices out of the house. I mean, my son, he has a Nintendo Switch and he was like, yes. And I'm like, it's not leaving this house. Like, I know it's a little it's small and stuff, but because they'll be like, oh, what about in the car? And I'm like, you get car sick just from
Yep.
driving. Like,
Yep.
you're not going to get car sick on top
Oh
and
my.
then be on video games, So they're not in the car. They're when we go to somebody's house, nope, you don't take it. I'm telling you, like, we do not let them take any devices. The only time we allow them to like play on our phones is if they're either the only kids there, like it's an adult function and they're the only kid there, and then we may let them play on the phone,
Hmm.
if they're by themselves. If they're together, no, they don't need a phone. You guys figure it out. Like, go
Yeah.
look for something or play
Entertain
something,
yourselves.
entertain
Exactly.
yourselves. Yeah. But like sometimes, like, because my son, he's 11, and then we'll go to my brother's house and he has like a lot of little kids, like toddlers,
Mhm.
and so I feel bad because he's there's such a
Order.
huge
Yeah.
age difference. So that's when I'll be like, okay, you can play on my mom's on my mom's phone. But I don't have any games downloaded on my phone. I told
Me
them my phone
neither.
is not for games. You are not playing on my phone. If
Yeah.
Yaya and if my mom is silly enough to let you download games, that's her data that you're taking. You're not
Yep.
taking mine. But other than that, and yeah, no restaurants, no nothing. Like I'll try, like I'm like you, Marianne. I'll bring all the toys.
Yeah.
I have all these little cars in my damn purse or whatever. I give them the salt shakers. I'll give them the sugar packets and let Ray play with those. Like people probably look at me crazy because I'm just like, oh, here you go. Here's all the stuff to mess with. Like she just destroys all the sugar packets and the creamers and everything else. But I'm like, hey, she's entertained. Like
It's working.
it's keeping her quiet for right now.
Right?
And I don't mind her, like she's 2, so if she stands up at the table and staring at people eat, like as long as she's not
Yes,
crying, I'm fine. Like
exactly.
as long as she's not throwing food or freaking out, that's good. Like we went to the restaurant one time with my sister and her daughter's the same age. and her daughter was on my sister's phone, and Ray, my daughter, had all the salt packets out and the sugar packets and stuff, and she's making a huge mess, and my sister was like, you're not like freaking out? I'm like, no, she's entertained, it's fine, like as long as she could entertain
We're
herself,
good.
she's not panicking, we're okay. Yeah, she'll survive. It's gonna be okay. Don't be okay.
So what type of devices do they use?
Okay,
My kid?
so
Oh,
go ahead.
I'll go.
Yeah.
It's not a hard question.
Okay.
Landon used to have an iPad, but now he doesn't. But I just feel like every time he would use his iPad or even like our phones, his attitude the rest of the day changed. Like he was an ass the rest of the day. So
See, I'm telling you,
yeah,
I think that there's
Yeah.
something that happens with the kids when they get too many either video games or
yeah,
iPad or technology. They turn into little turds.
yeah. And
Like
he would just
attitude.
do YouTube. He was doing YouTube, and he's what he watches is like toy reviews.
Ryan.
Yeah, like Ryan or whatever. He doesn't watch like anything else. Like, and so I don't know, like we've noticed a pattern every time he had his iPad or like a phone, like the rest of the day sucked because we were constantly
No matter the
yelling.
limit, like even if you limited his time, it's still no matter. Or was it?
No, like if it was 30 minutes, he still would be an ass the next couple hours. So we just took the iPad away, and then the phone, he's hasn't really been using the phone. It's more just TV now. So those are the only
Yeah.
differences.
We had an iPad, but we didn't buy we refused to buy these things. My mother-in-law had given my son an iPad because it was her old work iPad. So she gave it to him. And then so he was all about that. But that was my first. And remember I told you he was like obsessed with it. But then they don't use it anymore because it started getting, it was super outdated and it wasn't updating like all the games or the stuff that he was into anymore. And then my mom gave like a tablet to my other son, and it turns out that that was outdated for their games that they wanted to play. So they don't play on those, and they try to play on my phone, and I don't let them download anything. But they have a PlayStation that they have a PlayStation, they have like old school video games, like a Nintendo, and then they have the Nintendo Switch. And out of all of those, I'd rather them have the Nintendo Switch. That one's the newer one, because that one actually, like, you could have like the socializing games, like all of us can play something at the same time. Like it doesn't have to be online. Like we play those Just Dance games and the Mario Olympics or whatever. And
Oh yeah.
I think that that's super cool because we're all playing it together. But
Yeah.
like their PlayStation, they play Fortnite or whatever, and it's like I think they scam you. Like they scam me because they're like, you can't play together. You gotta go get your other device or laptop or whatever and play with somebody in the same room. But it like you can't play it together. It's so weird. And then
It
have
is.
to pay for upgrades and all. And I'm like, dude,
Oh.
they are scamming kids left and
Yeah,
right just to
they
upgrade
are.
you guys. So I used to let them buy it because they work for their money, but I'm like, no, you're not gonna blow it on these scams. It's a scam. You're not gonna blow your money. I think I'm a control freak mom, but
No, but it is. It's always, you have to buy everything on there,
yeah.
like outfits and everything, I think.
Yes, the
What?
stupid outfits. Yeah, they're
No,
called
it is.
skins. You
Yeah.
gotta buy like what
No,
backpack you want to
seriously.
wear and stuff. It's
They even have
ridiculous.
gift cards for it, like Roblox gift cards, so that the
Wow.
kids can buy the stuff because you have to pay for it. It's crazy.
Like the game itself is free, so they fool you into thinking the game's free,
Yeah.
but
But nothing else
everything
on there.
is an upgrade. I'm sorry, everything is an upgrade. You pay for every stupid thing, and I'm like, this is some bullshit.
And can't some people send their friends like some money or
Yeah,
something?
you
Oh
can
wow.
Yeah, so
gift.
then you can gift it. So if you
Mhm.
pay for something and then you have your child sending his friends the money that
Oh
it
hell
is.
no.
Yeah. It's
Mm-mm.
What
crazy.
about you, Roni?
Um so Devin, my oldest, has a laptop for school, and then he has his cell phone. He has an iPhone. Peyton for Christmas just got the Switch, which it is pretty cool because you could like play as a family. It almost reminds me of Wii a little bit when
Oh
it
yeah.
came out, how you
Mm-hmm.
can play with family.
Yeah.
And then that's all he had. He used to have a tablet, like a kid's tablet, and it only like it didn't go online, like it just went to certain things. And he wanted more, so he stopped playing with that. And then Harley has the kids tablet, so
Tablet now.
it just limits to stuff like she can't get online, she can't, so it's just like the bare
Like
minimum.
games.
Yeah, it's just like games. They can do YouTube on there, but it's like very limited. Like it shows the same videos. Like she can't get any new uploaded videos. So she's
Oh.
always, when she's on there, it's like it's almost like boring. I like it because it's kids. It's boring. So they almost grow out of it and they're not really that interested in it. Um, so
Well,
and
I was
that's it. We
impressed.
don't have
I was impressed
what?
too because when your older son came to visit a couple of times, like he was not all about video games. Like he was like the
Yeah,
first kid I had ever met that was like not about
yeah,
it.
he
He was
doesn't
just
play
like,
video games. That's the
yeah. And I'm
crazy
like,
thing.
what year is it? What
No
year?
one in our house. Peyton just started getting into the games because of the Switch, but other than that, like they never played. Like we never had a PlayStation. I know my mom brought over a Wii a little bit. We played it like a little bit, and then it just got. We never use it again. So we're not like a
Mm.
big, which I think is good and bad because sometimes I think like boys are like always into video games. So I feel like, why don't you guys want to play video games on one hand? But then on the other hand, I'm like, oh, I'm happy that they're not like crazy because I've seen like my cousins and everything. I even my aunt is like she loves her video games to this day. So I've seen like
That
video
shit could
games.
break
So
up families. Okay,
is it that bad?
yes, there's husbands that are like would
Oh
rather be
yeah,
on
you're
video
right.
games than
You're
sit
right.
and have dinner with their family. So like
You are right.
I remember when me and my husband first started, I think I was pregnant at the time and they were him and one of our good friends, they were into like Call of Duty or whatever. And
Oh
so
yeah.
this was before we had any kids, but when I got pregnant, I'm like, no, homie, like you're gonna have to pack that shit up, especially too because he was going to paramedic school, and I'm like, you think you're gonna go to school and or like be studying all day long and then and then
And
play
then
video games
fuck with these
all
video
night
games?
long?
No way.
No,
It's
we're
not
about to have a
happening over here.
baby. Yeah, no, but he was super easy about it. He I think he was like, oh, I'll box it up because I'm gonna be in class, like at school and stuff, and I'm not gonna have any time. But after a couple of years, it stayed up there, and I was like, thank the Lord, because I can't even imagine if he was
I
obsessed with
know.
it.
Does he play with the boys with the video games or no?
He does, yeah,
No.
yeah. Now that the boys are into it, he'll play with them. They
Alright,
beg him and
gotcha.
stuff, and he'll play with them. But it's not crazy,
Yeah.
How old were they when they got into the video games?
Okay, so that's another thing. They got it as a gift. My brother-in-law is like super into video games. He has like every video, like he's a video game collector. He actually has a pretty cool collection. He has like all the way back from, the very first video games to like every year. He has like every edition. Um, am I even saying game council, whatever?
Console?
Yeah, consult. What
Console.
console? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He has all of those. And he's the one who first gifted, I think he was 5. And I was like,
Oh.
dude, he doesn't need a freaking video game at 5. And he was like, it's cool, he's gonna love it and stuff. And then that's when my husband started playing it more. And I'm like, oh hell no. And so that's when he started playing it more. He's like, oh, I'm gonna teach him how to play. And I just thought it was too young. If it was up to us, we wouldn't have gotten him one until he was a little bit older. And I mean, we have my husband's old Sega or what is it, Nintendo
Super
or
Nintendo was
Super Nintendo. We have, and it still works. So to me, I was like, that's all he needs. Like
Mhm.
he's a kid. We love those games.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was really young when he got it. And I had like he played like Minecraft and stuff, and so I didn't really mind it because those were like building games and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would totally recommend the Switch, those Nintendo Switches for like interactive family ones that you
Yeah.
could play together. I
Right.
think those are really fun. Those are fun. Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so then you said your kid has a cell phone. What age did you get him a cell phone, and like why did you decide to get
Am
him
I
a
the
cell
only one with the kid with a cell phone? Does Jack doesn't have a cell phone?
phone? No.
What?
No.
Well, I didn't get the cell phone first. First of all, my mom gave him a cell phone in fifth grade, and it was just a regular, like, I think it was like a 7-Eleven phone, like a little
Wait,
7-Eleven
he
phone.
Oh,
was
like
in
the
And
the
it
fifth
prepaid one.
grade?
fit because I was like, first of all, I didn't say I wanted him to have a phone at this age. So it just kind of I think he got his first phone, like a first real phone at 11 and a half or 12. And then by this time, we got him the phone because the district that he was in, I was taking him to a whole nother district from where we were, and he would have to wait after I was working. So it was like for me in a sense, like I was like, okay, I need him to have a cell phone because I need to be able to communicate with him to tell him that or if I'm running late or something like that. And it started there. And that's the start of the cell phone. Yeah. So.
Yeah, my kid is 11 and he is begging. Like he begs so much for a cell phone and I'm like, "I'm sorry. You're not going to get one until you start driving." I like those
Oh, that's
are my
cool.
rules. Like that's when I got a cell phone is when I started driving
Mm-hmm.
and because my parents said like they need to, if I break down somewhere
Yeah.
and I still I feel like me and my husband feel the same way. So we're like, you can get a cell phone when you start driving to work to pay for that cell phone. Like you're not
Mhm.
just gonna get a free cell phone. And it sucks because like I know there's a lot of plans that give you the free cell phones, but I want them to earn it. They you know what? When they were really young, or maybe Jack, my first one, when he was young, he was so spoiled by his grandparents because he was the only child for so long. He got everything, and I felt like we had no control, and he was like a spoiled rotten kid, and that's not what we wanted. Like yeah, we want to give our kids things, but we wanted them to appreciate it
Yeah.
and also value have work ethic, and I feel like and I saw that he wasn't like he would open a gift and then be like, oh cool, and then like put it down and like
Yeah.
open the next one. Like it would just came way too easy for him. So now that they're older and like we have a little bit more control, we're like, okay, no, you have to earn stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Like you're not just gonna get stuff. I mean, that's just, I mean, and I know everybody's different and people are probably gonna be like, you are so hard, but I don't care.
No, I
Not
think
until you're
no,
driving.
I think I know someone who they literally just, I think their daughter is going to be going to the eighth grade or something like that, and they just got her a cell phone. So I think it just varies on
And
personal preference.
back in the day we had a house phone, so we would take turns using the house phone, and I just told him like, you could use my phone. I'm not against him, honestly. I'm not against him using a phone. I tell him, call your friends, call him, tell him to come over. Come on over, like text them, I don't care, but you're using my phone, you're not going to get another phone, like so I will relay the message, like if they'll text and stuff and I'm like, hey, your friend texted, but I need to know what they're doing, and I don't want him to feel entitled. I don't want him to feel like it just came easy to him and he just got a phone. But all of his
Yeah.
friends have phones. Everybody, they all have phones, and they're like, you don't have a phone? I'm like, nope, he doesn't have a phone. He
It
doesn't
gets
have a phone.
younger and younger. There's
It really
a
does,
there's
yeah.
a girl in Peyton's first grade class with the
Wow.
iPhone 11. iPhone
Oh,
11.
yeah,
So,
yeah, he has
What
a
is he,
friend too.
6?
mhm.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wait, in Peyton's class?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And that's another thing. I'm home with them, so I'm able to pick them up from school. Or if they walk home, they live right down the street, So to me, I feel like it would be different if I was not home. Everybody has different
Yeah.
situations,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying you don't get your kid a phone. I'm just saying what we're doing and what
Yeah.
works for our little bubble.
Yep.
And that's, yeah. But there's people who need to get their kids a phone, and that's fine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but at the time that we're in right now, they don't need a phone. right now.
Marianne, do you know an age that you will think you'll let Landon have a phone?
I don't know. Janelle made a good point about like driving, but I I don't know. Kind of depends on like what activities he gets into, and then I remember like this question reminds me of like a post you made, Roni, like a while back, and I don't know if it was during the times that like the school shootings were happening or something happened. And I remember you did like a story on IG and you were saying like, thank God that my kid has a cell phone because I was able, because the school was locked down or whatever. So I don't
Didn't even notify
know.
us of anything. And
It's
that's
hard.
true. It is hard because like our growing up, when we grew up, we never had to worry about the stuff that happens at a school now. Like never. Like, you know, we didn't have anything. We didn't have cell phones. We barely, I think pagers were like just getting popular, but like we never had to worry about going to school and feeling unsafe. Like the most that we had to feel was a teacher that we didn't like. But that was another reason
the schools that I went to, we were worried about getting jumped all the time. It wasn't very
but
safe.
were you worried about
Pomona?
yeah. So you probably were worried about. But even where I grew up, I don't ever remember being little and worried about someone coming to shoot up the school. I don't remember that.
Like the
being
school
little
won't be
and
shut
have
down.
like gangsters and stuff at your school that you had worried
we
about.
did, but I guess
Especially,
it wasn't like
especially like back in the day, there was a huge, like at our school, there was like the blacks versus Mexicans, and there was like they were shooting each other, and it was like, oh my God, it was scary. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
no. I think the most we had to worry about is like outside of the school. I remember our school going on lockdown because like someone robbed the grocery store across the street and they were scared that the guy was going to run over it. But just thinking like that a little boy that was being teased was going to go home and bring back a gun and shoot up the school, I don't remember like worrying about that. I don't. No, but it probably could have exist, but that's another reason that I let him keep it after, even though I became a stay-at-home mom and everything, and he was getting older. And I'm like, this is, you know, a way that I can communicate if something's wrong, you know. And he's older now. He wants to go to the mall with his friends, you know. Like it's my way of keeping tabs on him. But yeah, just to go back to that story.
Do you have it where it's set up where you can see where he's at, like GPS almost?
Oh, girl, absolutely. I will show you. He doesn't even know. Let me go. If he takes a picture, it comes to my phone. When he Googles something, oh yeah. Sprint
But
has
you don't want to tell
excellent.
him. You don't want to warn him. Not warn him, but like let him know. Like, dude, I see everything. Like, let me just tell you, you have no privacy. Because my God, I would hate to see some type of video of my son sending somebody something else, and if it's inappropriate, I feel like my eyes, I would never be able to look at them.
That's true, but then I'll be able to march up those stairs and be like, mother, have you lost your mind sending shit like this? Didn't I tell you that you don't do this kind of stuff?
Yeah. Oh my God.
He knows there's a parental control that I control, because even I could shut down his phone too. Like from my phone, I could stop the calls and then have him restart at a certain time. So he knows that I'm able to do that. So I'm sure he knows that I can see stuff, because I mean, I've told him, but I haven't got into details. But so far, surprisingly, I haven't seen any like no nudie flicks that he's trying to send.
Oh my God, I would die. No, but that's good.
Yeah.
I feel like another reason too, like I see another reason why I don't want to get him a phone or him to have a phone is because I feel like every time there's a kid that has a phone that comes to my house, they're like always on the phone. And I'm like, you guys, go and play. You know, like I just feel like I want them to socialize, and I want them to play. I want them to be kids. They're going to be adults for the rest of their lives. Like they only have these years, 16, 17 years to be a freaking kid, and I want them to like actually be a kid and like not have to worry about who's say like not getting so much information so fast, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Absolutely.
hard because nowadays, like you had mentioned, like there is stuff to be more concerned about, you know, and you want that immediate communication with your kid, but it's tough, and to each their own, you know.
Hmm.
And then yeah, so did you have to deal with guilt trips like before? Like would he beg you for a phone, or he was already in the 5th grade, so did he want a phone when your mom gave him a phone?
Mm-mm. When that's what when my mom gave him a phone, no, he wasn't even asking for one. And then she just goes and gives him the phone. And I'm like, and that's when I really like set the rules like, Mom, first of all, you're gonna have to come to us because they tried that little grandparent shit before, giving them stuff and not even asking us if
Yeah.
we wanted him to have that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, like, you can't just give him stuff just because it's your grandchild. Like, I'm not ready for him to be growing up this fast.
Yeah.
So when she gave him the phone, no, he wasn't interested. But after he got a taste, and that wasn't even a full functioning phone, then he would ask, and like every kid at school has a phone, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And then when I finally gave in, I gave him like the lowest quality phone. It was like my old phone. It was a
Mm.
hand-me-down phone. All his phones are usually a hand-me-down phone. I get the upgrade, give him the old phone.
Dude, I get the
So
guilt trips all the time. Like, Mom, all of my friends have phones. I'm like, I
I'm
don't
not all of their
care.
mama.
Exactly. I don't care if they all have. That's nice for them, you know? And I'm like, okay, so you want a phone. If I get you a phone that only dials my phone number or
They have
911, you'll be
those,
okay
I
with that.
think.
They
Just
have
to
them.
have a phone.
Hmm.
And then they'll be like, no, I want internet. And I'm like, you have a computer. Like, you have
Yeah.
access to a computer at home. You have access to the internet, you know, from my phone. You don't need your own phone to look at stuff on the internet, you know, like you lose, you lose, you lose, you lose. You're not gonna get it. Okay, so then I mean, Landon, has he given you
It's-
guilt trips or wanting to phone?
Well, like for like his I to have his because we took his iPad away. Like he hasn't had it for months now, but he'll see it like in the corner of our room and be like, "Oh, I earned 5 stickers. Can I earn that back?" And I'm
Oh,
like,
cute.
I mean, no. Yes, you earned 5 stickers. You could have something else, but not that. But no,
Yeah.
not really. Other than like he'll try to ask, but it's not anything I can lose.
When he tries to ask, I'm like, "Oh, you're driving? I didn't know you're driving already. You got your license?"
Yeah.
I try to play it off and be like laugh about it because I don't want to get all worked up and I don't want it to be an argument.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, there's no conversation about it unless you have a job and you're paying for it and you're driving already to that job. Like, no, you can't have it. Who knows? I mean, I could always change my mind.
He's
You
gonna
know,
have
it's
one
like
next year.
life is like that. I know, right? But right now he does not have one. Okay.
So like now that technology has advanced and like the schools are starting to incorporate it into their like programs or curriculums, like like the elementary schools are using like their little
Yeah, they go to
tablets now,
computer
whatever.
lab.
Chromebook.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like starting them early on those kind of devices is beneficial? Like, at 2 years old, like, do you want them learning how to like maneuver a keyboard or a mouse?
No, definitely not. I don't. I don't want them to learn any earlier than they need to already. Like if I can get them as long as I can to go to first grade and then they get introduced to it at first grade, then I'll take that. But I don't want to push it just because they're incorporating that into the curriculum.
Yeah,
I
I
know that was
agree.
like a debate with my husband and like for Lennon, like because my
Mhm.
husband's like super tech savvy, so he's like
Mhm.
all about technology. And I think when we had Lennon learning how to do the iPad, like I remember my mom, who was like 60 at the time, was like, "Oh my gosh, he can do that at that age? I don't even know how to do this on my iPhone." And like, I remember the debate with my husband was like, oh, it's good that he's learning it because once he gets to school, they don't need to teach it to him and he'll be more advanced than the rest of the kids. And I'm like, that's the point of them teaching it to them so that they'll be at the same level with their friends. So I don't know. That's why I had to ask that.
I've heard mixed things. Like it can expedite their learning for technology, but also it can cause them to be more delayed when it like for fine motor skills. You know, like maybe they're not using their hands to learn how to draw ABCs, so they're late to writing or to cutting with scissors and everything. You know, things like that. So, or maybe you don't have that issue because there's balance, you know, and you're doing the same thing. But to me, I just feel like if they're going to learn it at school, they're going to learn it at school. You know, I'm not going to freaking teach them statistics because one day they're going to learn that. Like, I'm not going to start them early. Like, go ahead. You're going to learn that on your own.
You wait till you go to school because I'm not fooling with this.
Yeah, I think that they'll learn it. I'm not in a rush for them to learn stuff like that.
That's fair. That's fair. So, how do you manage or protect their devices?
I'm horrible at that. Like we don't have. I think we have parental control on the TV, but I'm not really sure. Like I haven't seen any nudie channels, but I don't know. I don't know if we have it. Do you remember, like, did you guys have parental controls on your guys' TV? Because I remember, like, I mean, we didn't really have cable growing up, but we had that channel. Like, I don't know if it was in the 50s, but like, if you looked closely, you would see through the white noise, you'd see like a boob or something.
What?
We didn't.
I didn't look that hard.
No, like we would click because we had the clicking TV. And it was like the black and white noise, you know, and then all of a sudden you see
because
like,
you didn't have the channel, so it would do that,
we didn't
right?
have the channel.
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
I
You would
remember
hear,
that.
like all of a
God,
sudden you'd hear,
stick it way back.
and I'm like,
I
wait.
remember it doesn't do that anymore, right? Like
No.
it used to do that. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
No,
it does.
I don't think it does. But we didn't. I think we had all the channels. I remember like the girl across the street or something, like they would always have everything. Like they had every channel, everything, and she would have all those channels like for free. I'm like, I have HBO? Oh my God. And you have whatever it was called back in the day.
Skinemax.
Oh,
you don't have to pay for this.
But it was illegal though. It was like an illegal box. Do you remember the box?
Yeah.
It was like an illegal box, and that's how they had every channel. Yeah.
Yeah, no. I don't.
Oh yeah, and it used to be called Spice. That's what the network was called.
Yes.
I didn't watch it. I just knew it was called Spice.
I don't think we have parental control. So maybe on the TV, but I don't think we have them on our computers or anything. Like, can you have them on a computer? Parental control, so that you like
on their laptop.
Yeah, like how they have it at school, like how you can't go to, you know, like at work and school, sometimes they put a block and you can't go to like social media or different sites. So you can put it on your on their laptop.
Do you have that on their laptops and stuff? Or their devices?
So on the kitty things, like it's already set up on there. They can't even scroll. And then Devin, I mean, his phone doesn't have it. And his laptop is kind of outdated. So he rarely gets on there to do like extra stuff. It would usually be from his phone.
What about you guys?
I think we, on our TV, we do have it blocked because sometimes like him and Levi are like Bobby button pushers. Like they just push the buttons. And so sometimes we'll get like these random recordings or random, like they were trying to purchase or whatever. So we have it on the TV. And then as far as like our phones and his iPad that he used to have, we just have like the YouTube Kids instead of like if he wanted to watch YouTube, it was YouTube Kids and not just like the regular YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that you said Bobby button pusher. That's so cute. I've never heard that before.
Oh, we say that all the time.
Oh my God.
Do you set rules too, or do
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Besides
our
your,
rule is you could play for an hour, and then it's only with friends. Like, it has to be with friends. Like, it can't be with strangers, because I think strangers can request for you to play, right?
oh really?
Yeah,
What?
like if they play online, they play with their friends from school or whatever. And I try
Mm,
to tell them, like, it could
have
only
to
be
know the
friends
person.
that you have, yeah, that you've seen in person. It can't be like somebody that's just
Random.
requesting to play with you. Yeah. So for
Mhm.
the most part, they play with their friends from school, or they play and they talk to them on their headset, so it's them. And then they play with like their uncles and stuff. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I haven't had a problem, knock on wood. Hopefully we don't have any issues with any of that kind of stuff. Scary thing. Okay, so then do you allow, okay, so since your son is older, do you allow them to be on social media, or him?
So he is on social media, and this
Okay.
kind of is kind of new. And I still hate it. Like still, I would rather him not.
Uh-huh.
Um, but the thing was, okay, so my husband doesn't know social media. Like he's like thinks social media is like crazy, and he's like, I don't know why people do social media. Why you need to let somebody know you're doing it? This is like, so he's all like anti. So when they came up um
TikTok?
with Devin wanting to get social media, I
Uh,
was like, no, you cannot have social media. You don't need social media. And then here goes my husband, like, oh, well, he's going to be going to high school soon, and you
Oh,
have social media. So how are you going to tell him he can't have social media and you do it too?
because
And
I'm
I'm like,
older. I'm
first
an
of
adult.
all, I know how to handle the comments a little bit better, and I know how to handle, like, if someone says something, I know how to like not let it completely console me, like take
yeah.
over me rather. So I'm like, I feel like I know how to handle it a little better than a child.
Mhm.
So with him, um, he has social media, but I fully monitor that too. So
How?
I have it because I have the password. And that's why sometimes on our Mamas and Mimosas page, I'm horrible at like logging in and like updating stuff, because I have those accounts on my, like, I think it only lets you do two, right? Because whenever I try to do more, it deletes one.
I think
So I have
three.
them both on three. It doesn't let me do three. I have it on there. So I have his password, and like every now and then I'll click on there and just monitor it, because to me he's still so young that I feel like I need to monitor it if he's gonna have it. Now once he gets, really get into high school, maybe 10th, 11th grade, I'll back off and like,
Yeah.
let him have it a little more. But as for right now, it's like basically like pretty much control. Like, so it's to the point too where he'll like show me a post or something and be like, is this okay to post? And then
Oh,
I'll be
that's
like,
good.
okay, yeah.
He's
So,
respectful. He's such a good
so,
kid.
How
and
old
then
was
like
he?
I follow his page, and I have like a lot of my girlfriends and stuff follow too, in case I miss something, because it takes a village and they can come tell me.
Yeah.
But I don't let him follow me, which is,
Okay.
yeah. So he doesn't follow me, but I follow
What,
him.
you let him get it this year or like this last year?
Yeah.
How old was he when he got his social
He
media
was
page?
going to 8th grade. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
How about Jack Jordan?
So, okay, so because they were obsessed with YouTube a couple years back and watching kids play outside, watching kids play things,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
was like, let's just like, they wanted to make one. And I'm like, I was for it, because I'm like, at least you guys will be doing something other than watching people live their life, and you guys will be living a friggin'
Yeah,
life,
I'm playing yours.
So yeah, so I was for them making a YouTube channel, and then we made an Instagram to go to with the YouTube channel, but it was like managed by me. Like I would post, and there's like 5 posts. Like it didn't go far at all, because I was like, this is a lot of work. And I had my business, and I'm like, I'm not going to keep up with this, and then they would get in trouble, and I'm like, you're not gonna film. Like you're not gonna film yourself playing video games. Like you're in trouble. So yeah, so it didn't work out at all. But that's how far that went. So they don't have social media. And then it was funny because when TikTok came out, before it was really big, he was like, oh, my friends are on this thing, they're singing and dancing and whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So then I went and I saw it, and he had a whole profile, and I was like, what is this? I like freaked out because I didn't know much about it, and I would see all these little girls that that was following him, or I don't know how it works. And like I'd see all these girls from his class like dancing and singing and whatever, and I'm like, no, you don't need a profile. Like, you could watch it here and there, but you don't need to make a profile where you guys can leave little messages and stuff like that. Like if you guys want to leave messages, you could write letters. Like they could take it back. They don't need to freaking have such easy access to each other. I just think it's so easy for them, and I want him to like work for it a little bit, you know. I don't know. I'm so
90s.
So when he gets a phone, when he starts driving, I will let him on social media. I don't want him on social media anytime earlier. I feel like I've seen things with like my cousins and stuff, and their kids and their friends getting like in trouble, and like the bullying and all of that stuff. So and it's so easy for them to do it because now they don't just have to deal with it in school, they have to deal with it after school, you know. And that popularity, and you know how it is. I mean, as having like a small business too, and you're trying to like promote yourself on social media, like the amount of likes and the amount of follows and stuff all means something because you're trying to promote your business. And it's the same thing. Like they're going to be affected if they don't have that many likes, and so Sally does, you know, and then they're going to get all freaking insecure about it. And it's like, they don't need that shit. They already have it on the day-to-day basis because their brains are not fully developed yet, you know. And I just feel like okay, go ahead. They don't need it right now, or at least like I don't want them to deal with it right now, you know.
Absolutely.
So how do you help them, like, because they've had social media, or even Roni because he has social media, how do you help them understand like all the cyberbullying and like online predators, like how to be aware of things like that?
Well, early on, even with like when they started introducing him to like laptops and stuff at school, like I talked to him about the do's and don'ts on what you do, like, you know, the typical, like you never send anyone a picture, don't ask for pictures, like just go down the line. I've mentioned to him that if someone's saying something that's inappropriate, or you know, to let me know. And even by me monitoring it in a way, is me like trying to help him deal with those. And even when he posts something, like I'm in his comments. If I see something that's a little weird, like I'll literally go ask him, like, why did this girl say this? Like, what does she mean? Like, because these kids have this new way of talking, and like I've seen comments where it's like, oh, I think it was something that was even crazy. Like I get, it was supposed to be like a hip word or something, but it was like, oh, I don't even remember the word. I'm not even gonna lie what the word was, but I was like, what do they mean by this? What is he saying? Like, is he trying to tease you? And he's like, no, mom. Like, so I'm just like,
you get all protective.
Exactly, because I'm like, that's too much. So I just talk to him. He knows like what's right and wrong. He knows, you know, what to put out there, what not to. So we haven't run into that problem. He knows better to do anything like that. So
but what about like predators? Like if somebody tried to, I mean, he's a boy, but like chicks can still like,
still the same thing. I've told him, you know, one of the things about his page too is it's private. So whenever he gets a request, I only allow him to have friends, like friends from school or someone he knows. If it's someone who sends him a request and he doesn't know, then I'm like, we're just gonna deny that one, because you don't know. I don't want just different random people. So that's another reason. One of the rules to him having social media is that whoever follows him, he needs to actually physically know them. And even I know there's a time where someone requested him, and I'm like, you don't know this girl. This girl lives way somewhere else. And he's like, oh, that's so and so's cousin, and I saw her at a party. And I'm like, well, I don't know so and so's cousin, so we're gonna delete that.
You're like, would you talk to her in person? Would you talk to her in person?
So there's rules to him having the social media until he gets older. Then, but as of right now, if you want the social media, I'm gonna set the rules. So.
Thankfully, right now. Go ahead.
Real quick, because it's just like, because you monitor his and you see like his friend requests. Have you seen any where like an older dude or whatever has tried to request him, like like a creeper? No.
I've seen like pages that look like spam pages that look weird, and we just delete them.
Yeah.
But I haven't got any like weird where it's like a older lady or something, and I'm like, oh no. But not for the most part.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was gonna say that even though he is like begging me for a phone, he hasn't really begged me yet to be on social media. So I haven't really had to like explain like the whole bullies situation and stuff like that. But I have talked to him about like online predators trying to friend him to play video games and things like that. And it's funny because we love to show them like the old 90s movies, like
we do too.
Like, okay, so one of them that I thought of for this question was The First Kid with Sinbad. Do you remember that? The First Kid? And he's like a president's son or something, and on the movie he's playing video games online with somebody, and it turns out to be some kidnapper guy that tries to like set him up to go kidnap him. Yeah, and it's a hilarious movie because the comedian Sinbad is on it.
Yeah,
he's really good. But my kids love that movie, and I'm like, every time I can stick in like a life lesson, I'm like, you see, those creepers are out there and they're waiting for you guys. So like he has seen like movies like that like show him that there's people out there that are trying to like kidnap kids, and like trick them and stuff. But as far as cyberbullying, I'm always just telling him like, hey, because even like right now, like they play online, and sometimes he'll play with kids that he doesn't really like get along with at school, and they'll play on like the video games like during the summer, and I'm like, why are you playing with them? I thought you didn't like the kid. And he's like, oh well, he was on. And I'm like, I'm so confused. And then, or he'll tell me like, oh, I stopped playing with this kid because he was talking bad about my friend or whatever. And then I'm like, oh, my God, you guys are gonna talk trash, between people in a group on the stupid video games, like there's always something that, it's like, I mean, and I get it that it'll be at school too, but like, I'm just trying to keep it at school and not outside of school too.
So nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of work, Roni. Oh my God, having to like monitor every, thing. I ain't got time for that.
And I'm sure I missed stuff, but I feel like
I don't know how you do it.
Whatever's done in the dark will come to light. So I'm like, and usually like if I do miss something some kind of way, like I'm always brought back to it, or like I'll figure it out. But knock on wood, that's the thing. It's so far, like I think he already knows, where we are and like how serious we are and, the consequences. So I think he thinks a little bit more before he acts, which I hope he continues that. But he knows that we don't tolerate that, and we'll cut off everything.
Yeah. So. And I trust him, and I feel like for him, like I give him trust, and then he could lose it if he does something wrong, but that doesn't mean that I'm just going to give him everything. Right. And because a lot of it is because I want him to earn things too, and like see the value in things. And honestly, right now, like between sports and stuff, I mean, on a regular time, not during this quarantine, like he's so busy that I'm like, you don't even during the week, he doesn't even miss video games, because right when we come home from school, it's like homework for 30 minutes, hurry up and shove food in your face because we have football or whatever, you know? So they're so busy with that he doesn't really give me a hard time that much. It's like during the summertime or right now during the quarantine, like he wants, you know, extra time on video games because he finishes things first. But before, I used to make the mistake by like allowing him to play in the morning before everything, and then the rest of the day he would be a zombie, and he would be a little turd. Like he would fight with his brother and just be a little shit. And I'm like, oh no, just because you played your video games, you're gonna act disrespectful, or you're gonna, because we can't take it away now, you know? Like, so to me now, I'm like, you have to earn it. Like, you have to earn it. You have to do all of this. You have to do your chores, and you got to get dressed, and you got to do the things that you need to do. You got to play with your brother. You got to go outside and be a normal kid, and then you can play video games, you know? And ever since we changed it up and did that, he's completely changed. Like his personality, he's been more grateful about it, and he gets his shit done. I don't have to tell him a million times. And like, I mean, he's a kid, he's gonna screw up, but like it was way worse if I did it the other way around and let him play the video games.
How long have you been doing it that way, the new way where you change it?
Well, kind of during this quarantine, we had to, okay, because he got it taken away for like a couple of months, and then when he got it back, so I think it was in the fall when he got it back, and then on the weekends I was like, okay, you got to get everything done. I don't want to have to tell you a million times to do it. Like, if you want to play video games, don't even ask me. Come to me and tell me, Mom, all of this is done. Can I play video games now? You know?
Yeah.
Because they used to be like, I'm almost done. I don't care. I don't care if you're almost done. Don't come at me when you're almost done. I almost care, but I don't. Like, come to me when you're freaking done.
Yeah, that's our rule. Like, they know don't even fix your mouth to ask me if I go up there and the bed's not made or none of your stuff is done. No. So they know they have to have absolutely everything down to the shower, like everything.
Get to dress. You need to be dressed because if somebody stops by, you got to be ready. And I started having them check each other's chores, because most of the time they'll be like, oh, he didn't do it, or like try to tattle on each other. And I'm like, how about this? How about you tell him that he didn't do it quietly so that he can do it and I don't have to get him in trouble.
Don't come asking.
Yeah. So now you guys help each other. Like, I want them to have some type of teamwork, because right now, like, it's always against each other and like a competition. So I try to have them like work together. Like, okay, you guys, I don't want them to be against me either, but I don't know. It's hard. It's tricky. Kids.
Unless reason to yell at them.
Man.
Yes.
So tricky.
Okay, so, but now that the quarantine is here, like, what is your rule now, like, with them and being on their devices?
I didn't change it. Like, I didn't give them more time or less. I kind of kept it the same. But the funny thing is, I noticed now with the quarantine, it seems like they're using it less, which is weird, because I would think they would be more confined to it now. But between like the school work and then I schedule in sibling time. They have to do all their chores. Like, I leave nothing for them. Like, if they do get on the devices, it's usually like after dinner, after they already showered, they turn their bed down, and then they have like a few minutes. But by that time that they get on it, like, somebody falls asleep and I have to go turn it off and put it up. So they haven't been. It's crazy. But I think we're doing more like since we're all home, we schedule in more sit down, and we'll pick like a 90s movie from Disney Plus. That's why when you said 90s movie, we do that all the time. Pick a 90s movie and then we just sit together and watch it, which is something kind of new, because normally we get together like on the weekends and we'll do stuff like that. But now we're finding time throughout the week so it limits their electronic time, but screen time, I guess we're adding on with that, because we're sitting watching.
For us, it's like, I feel like he's watching more TV. Both of them. But I think because there's no school, so like the next
Yeah,
day
absolutely.
he, like normally we do movie nights on Fridays, like just me and Landon, because that's when my husband works. So like that's our little date night almost. But now that like we're all on
Crazy.
lockdown, yeah, like I let him do the whole weekend, kind of like Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, because that's my husband's Friday. So then he gets to join us that night. But I feel like watching TV, like with Levi, he's watching more, but that's because I have to do school with Landon. And then like my husband's at work, so then like Levi needs to be like not in the same room with us, or he needs to be occupied, because I feel like if Levi's next to Landon trying to do his schoolwork, Levi will be like throwing a tantrum or playing,
trying to grab the pencil.
And then all of a sudden Landon's distracted and then doesn't want to do school stuff. So it's like, it sucks because I have to, like, that's the only thing that will like make him sit and like for a little bit at least, just because I don't have my husband's extra set of hands to help me. But I feel like with the quarantine, like our screen time as far with TV has gone up. But other than that, like we don't do, video games or anything. So, I mean,
he doesn't play games and stuff on your phone?
No, I mean, I have games, but because, well, you know what? Like on my laptop, I have them do like the games that are like learning games, like the ABC Mouse and whatever. But all the games we have are like educational games, like on my phone. So, but he hasn't asked for my phone lately because I have him doing the ones for school, or I don't know. Lately, we've been outside like half of the day, so it's just like whatever.
Yeah, that's too keeping them busy. And I will say too, I think ours has limited with their like, I guess this not TV time, but screen time, is because we got that playroom back, and I think they forgot of like all the stuff they had in there, so it's like all fun and new to them. So they're like, forget those devices when we're gonna play.
Yeah. So the boys have been playing more often because it was just on the weekends. So now it's down to an hour a day. So the way that I have that set up is like they both have to be done with their chores. I told them, like, just because you're done first doesn't mean you could play. Like, you have to wait till your brother's done, because it's easier for me to keep track of it in my head and put the timer on and know, like, okay, this hour is for both of them. Because they used to try to trick me and be like, oh, well, I had 5 minutes left and he started first, and argue, and I'm like, this is too much. So now it's like, you gotta wait for the other one. And then sometimes though, it actually makes them work together, because the older one will help the little one, like, oh, then let me help you with your chores so we could hurry up. And I'm like, teamwork, so anything to get them to work together.
Right.
But so they've been doing that. So they've been doing their chores first, and then they'll have their hour of video game time, and then they'll watch a movie or whatever. And like they'll watch movies and watch TV and stuff, but I'm not really strict about TV part, like I feel like I said, the TV's on all day long. But what we started doing with this quarantine is some days, like during the week after dinner, have you guys heard of Art for Kids? I think it's Art for Kids. It's like a YouTube channel, and it's a dad, and he draws with his kids, and he teaches you how to draw, like
nice.
little things. I'll link it, and I'll link it in the show notes. But it's so cute and it's so easy, and it's like he draws it, and then his kid draws it, so you have two, like, a parent and a kid. And we've been doing that lately, all of us. Like, we'll all sit there with the pad paper and we're like drawing it out and stuff, and it's been so much fun. Like, that's been our like little bonding time.
That's cute.
We started it actually during the summer, last summer. And we would have, like, when we did date nights, my husband would take one kid and they'd draw something, and then I don't know why we didn't combine it and just draw the same stupid thing, but you know how everybody, we would pick different things. But now we just draw the same thing. And even my youngest, the 2-year-old, she's there, she's doing her little circles and
those circles.
But that's pretty much, I mean, that's the only thing that has changed, which is nice. I think that because you don't have all the sports right now with this quarantine and all of the other things that keep you so busy during the week, you have more time to like actually spend together
Yeah.
and like make memories. Like you said, watch a certain show or a certain movie or whatever. Like those were always only weekend things, you
Yeah,
know?
that's the funny thing, that the weekend stuff is still, we're finding a way to do it through the weekdays.
During
But
the
I
day, yeah.
still, do you guys still feel like you're just as busy? Like I see people like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm running up the stuff, and I'm like, well, damn, like I still feel like I'm just as busy, like besides the like taking, dropping off, but I'm still on my feet 24/7, still like lunch, like I still feel like I'm busy still, and I'm
Is it people that don't have kids that are saying that they're
yeah,
bored, or
that's what
is
I
it people with kids? I
you
don't
know what? I'm
know.
gonna pay attention. I think it may be the people that don't have kids,
Or
maybe.
maybe it's certain age groups, because I could understand, like maybe when they're really little, like I was telling my husband with you, Marianne, like with having a baby and then like he's not considered a toddler. Is he considered a toddler
He's
still?
5.
Ish
I don't,
5?
yeah.
A preschooler. A
Yeah.
preschooler. It's hard because you have to really entertain them at that
Oh
age,
yeah.
you know, like they're not old enough to be like, hey, go in your room and just hang
No.
out for hours and
Exactly.
hours, you know, or
Yep. Exactly.
so that's a lot of
It's
entertainment
funny
and work for you.
because whenever I'm FaceTiming with somebody like a friend or like my brother or I don't know, I called my grandma yesterday, they can see like how chaotic it is, and like I can see in their faces that they feel bad for me, or they're like, oh my gosh, like because now that we're home, Landon's starting to get like cabin fever, and it's like he's bouncing off the walls, and then like Levi's over here crying because he wants me to hold him, or just like even in
Yeah.
our like little meetings we have every now and then, like the kids are like, it's nonstop, and it's if one's not crying, the other is, or I don't know. And it sucks because my husband still goes to work, so
Yeah, so
it's twice
it's
as
even
hard for
harder.
me.
Yeah.
It's
It's
funny
even harder.
it's funny because my husband has a friend that his kids are the same age as your kids right now. So
Hmm.
one of them's teething and one of them's going through
Yeah.
like his own little, stage, preschool stage, and like he's going crazy because everyone's at home now, and his poor wife and him have to work from home and figure out how to keep these kids quiet while they're working from home. And I just don't know how they're doing it. But it's funny because he called us one night, or I think it was in the daytime, and Ray was napping, and then the two boys were in the living room watching a movie. So me and my husband were in the back room watching a movie, and he was like, "You guys are watching a movie? Where are your kids?"
How?
And
Yeah.
yeah, and we're like, "Oh, they're over there watching a movie, and just hanging out, and the baby's sleeping." And he's like, "You guys get to just watch movies in the middle of the day?"
Like,
And
oh,
I'm like, there will come a time that your kids get older and they will play without you. They won't need
Oh
your
gosh.
attention every second. And that, honestly, when that time comes, you're just like, oh wow, this is life. This is
yeah.
living.
Yeah, when my husband's home, he's like going crazy. He's like, oh, it's almost like he wants to go back to
To work. No, I get it. Dude,
so
I
it's like,
remember when my husband, I can't even imagine during this quarantine right now because you can't even go really
Yeah,
anywhere
you
just to
can't go
burn off that
anywhere.
energy. But
No, not at all.
I remember when my kids were your age, your kids' age, Marianne, my husband would come back from home from work, and I would literally like just basically throw the kids to him. And I'm like, "Here, you don't get your
Yeah.
30 minutes to cool the fuck off. Like I
Right.
need to cool off because I'm about to strangle these kids." Like, and then the baby would be crying, and
mhm.
dinner wouldn't be done, and it was, yeah, it was a lot.
Oh yeah, now we're cooking dinner because my husband doesn't want to do takeout. So it's like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like everyone, the schedule is way more busy, because we're in a week where I would be like, oh, I'm not cooking today. Like
Yeah.
it's literally like
Every
all of
day.
the meals, like, and trying to figure out the meals so that you can make them last and you don't have to run to the store. Like all of that it's a lot of work.
Adding more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah,
There's
and they
not a
just
lot of good.
extended the quarantine, so
I don't know where are we now? April 30th?
the end of April, yeah.
So now that they're going to get extended
Oh.
again, So now that the kids started school, so my kids just started school, technically online school or online learning or extended learning, I think it's called,
Distance learning.
today. Yeah. So they just started that today. So I took their video games away. I was like, okay, we're going to go back to the old school, like where it's only on the weekends because we got to figure this out,
Yeah.
see if you're going to be focused enough and have enough time, you know. But they finished it quick. I don't know. It's probably because they're still trying to fill it out and stuff, but they
Yeah,
gave
they're
them
trying to figure out.
really quick material. Like they finished it within an hour. And I'm like, is this why people homeschool? Because it's so damn fast?
That was us the first week too. And then I feel like until they figured it out, then it got a little more like time
Okay.
consuming. Mhm.
I've always wanted to homeschool. Like, I've always wanted to try it because I hear of people, no, I'm not patient or anything like that, but I hear of people having so much freedom to travel all the time
And it's
and take
easier.
their kids on really cool, like, educational vacations, you know, like learning different things. And it's because they're homeschooling. So they just take them and they just go on the longest road trips and stuff. And to me, that sounds so cool. But, and I will tell my husband, like, maybe we should homeschool. And he's like, no, no, we
Yeah.
cannot do that. And I'm like, he's so against it. And I'm like, I want to try it. But now that it's happening, I'm like, okay, hold on. I don't know if I was ready. I don't know if I was ready for
They
this.
just threw it on us.
Yeah, but we'll see how it goes. We will see.
Yeah.
What if I turn into a homeschooling mom and
We'll
then
see. I'll tell you, I don't want to do it for sure now. It's
You're
like
like,
never crossed my mind, but now I know I would never do it.
so even now that, like, so with the curriculum that you got and stuff, you don't feel like it's easier because you have like the structure and
It's easy, the structure wise, but I think like my child needs the social and like
Yeah.
just being away
Yeah.
from me type of thing
Yeah.
to succeed.
right, the social interaction and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
I
I've heard people
feel
succeed with homeschooling, so and their
Yeah.
kids aren't like shy
Or
hermit crabs.
socially
Yeah.
awkward or anything. Yeah. No, it
and
works
I
for
feel
some
like
people.
that's like an old kind of stigma too, because like nowadays, okay, yeah, maybe they're not socializing at home because they're homeschooling, but if they're in sports, they have all kinds of
Mhm.
other
Yeah.
activities that they can
Exactly.
socialize. They don't necessarily just need that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, so are we ready to wrap this up? Yeah.
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 Okay, so before we let you go, we just want to make sure that you guys visit us on Mamas and Mimosas private Facebook group and let us know how you guys manage your kids' screen time in your home. Click on the link below or visit mamasmimosas.com, and that's where we'll have that's where you guys can find all of our previous episodes and YouTube videos. And if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, make sure to screenshot it right now and tag us on Instagram. We love you guys and appreciate your support. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.